Now the story of 10 films hated by everyone, and the one YouTuber who had no choice but to review them all together. It's the IMDB Bottom 10.
What's up, digital media consumers? I am Evasive, and last year I made a video where I watched every movie that ever won a Razzie Award for Worst Picture of the Year. But as we all know, that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as bad movies go. And since I've been profiting off the exploitation of LGBTQ people in my other videos for months now, I figure it's only right for me to go back to my roots and torture myself for a change. So for this video, I watched the top 10 lowest rated movies on IMDb.
Please clap.
But before I get into that, let me give you a quick explanation on how the IMDb rating system works. The International Movie Database is a website that catalogs information on basically any form of content that moves. Besides being a database, IMDb also allows users to write reviews and rate things they watch on a scale of 1 to 10. These ratings are then run through a formula and converted to a weighted mean rating, which is the number you see on the IMDb page. In addition to that, movies with the highest and lowest average ratings are placed in the IMDb top 250 or the bottom 100 respectively. How this ranking actually works, though, is a bit of a mystery. At a glance, you'll notice the top 250 list follows pretty evenly with the average ratings, but the bottom 100 is all over the place. Because IMDb is public and there's no way to tell if someone actually watched something, its ranking system is vulnerable to trolls and superfans skewing the ratings by making a bunch of accounts to rate things over and over again. For that reason, IMDb only counts ratings from regular users when calculating where on the top 250 or bottom 100 to place a movie. IMDb purposely doesn't disclose to the public what qualifies someone as a regular user, though it probably has something to do with the amount of time an account has been active and how many ratings they've left. By the time you watch this, these movies might have shifted a little bit, but regardless, these are all certifiably some of the worst movies ever made. But before I get into these, I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor, Helix Sleep. Their Memorial Day sale is running now through May 30th, so if you're thinking about upgrading your mattress, now is the perfect time. You can get 30% off an Elite or Luxe mattress, plus 2 free pillows, or take advantage of 25% off site-wide. Check out the Helix site for more details. Listen, you don't need me to tell you how important it is to get a good night's sleep. And if you're curled up in bed watching this video at 1 a.m. on a weekday, you should probably get some sleep right now, actually. But before you do, listen to this. Helix Sleep is a mattress designer that delivers premium mattresses customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. All you have to do is complete a quick quiz about your body type and sleeping preferences, and Helix matches you with one of their 20 unique mattresses, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections. They also have the Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. Personally, I usually sleep on my back. I like a mattress that's not too soft or too firm, and I have a room that gets pretty hot in the summertime. Based on my quiz results, Helix matched me with their Dusk Luxe mattress and a Glacio Tax cooling cover. The mattress comes right to your door rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up yourself. I've had it for about a month now, and I can't even begin to describe how much nicer this is compared to the 8-year-old mattress I was using before. Every morning I wake up feeling more rested, my back and neck have never felt better, and I already know the cooling cover is going to make such a huge difference for me in the summertime. Unlike other brands, Helix mattresses don't contain any fiberglass, which can be hazardous to your health. Plus, Helix knows buying a mattress is an investment. That's why all of their mattresses include a 10-year warranty and a 100-night sleep trial so you can test the mattress and ensure it's the right one for you. So if you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. I love my Helix mattress, and I think you would too. As I mentioned earlier, now is the perfect time to upgrade your mattress because Helix's Memorial Day sale is running now through May 30th. You can get 30% off an Elite or Luxe mattress plus 2 free pillows, or take advantage of 25% off site-wide. You'll also get free shipping if you live in the US. Click the link below or go to helixsleep.com/evasive to take advantage of this amazing offer. That's helixsleep.com/evasive. Thank you so much to Helix Sleep for sponsoring. Now let's get into the video. The 10th lowest rated movie on IMDb is Rade, a remake of a Korean film called The Outlaws. Rade is an extremely generic action movie starring Bollywood superstar Salman Khan. Now, I haven't seen that many Bollywood movies, but I've seen a decent number for a tasteless American, and this is by far the worst one I've seen, and it's not even close. The acting is bad. The cinematography is bad. The story is bad. The musical numbers are kind of fun, actually, but like you could say that about any Bollywood movie. Khan plays a super cop named Rade, who is basically a store brand John Wick. He lives in Mumbai and spends the entire movie fighting drug dealers and trying to get with a woman 30 years younger than him. It's got this super cheesy, ham-fisted anti-drug message that's conveyed by bad child actors with dialogue that sounds like it was ripped right from a 90s anti-drug PSA.
I'm not chicken, you're a turkey.
Get real. Joey's the door. Don't even talk to him. Cowabunga!
There is one cool scene where Rade runs face first through a window at supersonic speed, catches glass in his mouth, and spits it at a guy's face, but that happens at the very beginning of the movie, and it's all downhill from there. I've seen much worse movies for sure, though. Like, this wasn't good, but it wasn't offensively bad either. It kind of has the same energy as those Netflix original action movies that you watch with your parents on a Tuesday night and then forget about 2 days later. The main reason why this one is on the top 10, though, is because a lot of people saw it. On IMDb, this movie has more ratings than not just the top 10 lowest rated movies, but the whole top 100. It starred an A-list Bollywood actor, and it was the first Bollywood movie to get a hybrid streaming and theater release because at the time, many movie theaters in India were still closed due to COVID-19. Plus, it was released on a national holiday, so everyone had the day off of work.
Eid Mubarak.
This combo created a perfect storm where a lot of people paid money to watch this movie who probably wouldn't have otherwise, turning a regular bad movie into one of the most hated Indian films of all time. I mean, just look at some of these reviews. Epic Movie is a parody comedy created by Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. If you don't know who Friedberg and Seltzer are, that's okay. Nobody really does. They've never had any social media accounts to their name, and they almost never do interviews. As far as anyone knows, they met when they were both history majors at UC Santa Barbara, and they watched a lot of comedy movies together. After graduation, they wanted to try making some comedies of their own, and luckily for them, Friedberg's dad worked in the film industry. So these two funny boys flexed their Nepo baby connection to make a comedy called Spy Hard in 1996. From there, they worked as screenwriters and sold some of their work, but after years of none of their scripts being made, they asked the Regency Film Company to let them direct one of their scripts themselves, resulting in Date Movie in 2006. For the next few years, they churned out a string of parody movies that did pretty well in theaters money-wise, but after making Vampires Suck in 2010, they decided they wanted more creative control over their movies. So they ended their relationship with Regency and tried to make some parody movies without them. This decision ended up going really, really, really badly for them, and in 2015, they basically dropped off the face of the earth and haven't been heard from since. Anyway, Epic Movie was Friedberg and Seltzer's second film, and it's basically the 2007 equivalent of TikTok brain rot. And that's because this movie and all their others were made for millennial teenagers and millennial teenagers only, as evidenced by the fact they literally didn't bother to do test screenings with anyone over the age of 25. Adults today may complain about kids screaming skibbity toilet Sigma Riz in Ohio, but back in 2007, my generation was giving $80 million to a movie about epic Nacho Libre farting Borat snakes on a plane, so what right do we have to complain? What you see is what you get with this. It's just a constant onslaught of movie and celebrity tabloid references with some poop jokes and nudity sprinkled in as a fun little treat. The plot is Cal Penn, the girl who played Emma in Glee, and two other actors I don't recognize get a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. And then they end up in Narnia, where they team up with Harry Potter and Captain Jack Swallows to fight the White Bitch. Almost all the jokes are super dated now, but I'm sure they made Kevin and his friends Tanner and Garrett laugh really hard in the back of an AMC movie theater in Missouri City, Texas on January 26, 2007. And honestly, when it comes to movies, isn't that what it's all about? Well, is it? I'm asking you. Please comment below what the point of watching movies is anymore, because I genuinely do not know.
What the dog doing?
Son of the Mask is the sequel to the smash hit Jim Carrey comedy The Mask from 1994. Coming out more than a decade later, Son of the Mask was created with a different writer and director and none of the original cast. It stars comedian Jamie Kennedy, aka Randy from Scream, as a man-child who gets the mask from The Mask and then he shoots green cum in his wife, resulting in a cursed CGI baby that gets into Looney Tunes fights with an evil CGI dog. It was directed by Lawrence Guterman, whose movie Cats and Dogs in 2001 made a good bit of money, which convinced New Line Cinema to give him $100 million to make The Mask 2 because they thought it would be a guaranteed box office success. A lot of that $100 million ended up being spent on experimental baby CGI, which was supposed to revolutionize animation forever, but instead just came out looking like something from a really disturbing Adult Swim show.
The uncanny valley states that when a non-human object begins to appear more human, it starts to get really cute. To a point. And then it becomes creepy. Blech.
Jamie Kennedy himself actually made a video essay about all this, which I will link to in the description below. In the video, he details the making of the film and reveals that there was actually a longer, better cut of the movie that was ruined by studio executives during the editing process.
So the movie, which was like 2 hours, they took like 38 minutes they wanted out of the movie. Cut and then go, just get to it. Get to the scene, make a face, hit a bang. Yo, add an effect, look at Jamie, go, and then go bang. Go over there, the baby farts, zoinks. Like literally, zoinks. It became a fucking ADHD cluster. They basically said, special effect the out of it, baby the out of it, doggy the out of it, cartoon the out of it. I have those notes somewhere. I saw these notes. Zanify it.
Considering this movie tanked both his and Guterman's movie careers, like, I get it, dude. I'd still be pissed off too. Watching this movie now, though, I will say I've definitely seen worse movies than this. Like, yeah, it's annoying and stupid and ugly, but so are all these other mid-2000s PG-rated movies. The main reason why this one is in the top 10 is because the original movie was so beloved and this was a massive disappointment by comparison. Well, that and the animation probably gave some Gen Z kids nightmares.
What's happening?
House of the Dead is a 2003 horror movie created by notorious German director Uwe Boll. If you aren't familiar, Uwe Boll is a man who made an entire career in the 2000s out of poorly made film adaptations of video games, which he was able to get the rights to because they were really cheap to license. He also earned a reputation for being extremely open to interviews, which he used as a soapbox to attack his critics and proclaim that his movies were actually huge successes and everyone was stupid for criticizing him. Boll's career was at its peak in 2006 though, when he challenged a bunch of film critics to a boxing match in Vancouver and beat the shit out of all of them.
If you come up here and you fight me, then I will kick the shit out of you.
What many casual observers at the time didn't know, though, was that Boll's films were literally designed to fail. See, for many years, there was a tax loophole in Germany in which German millionaires could avoid paying taxes by giving Uwe Boll money to make terrible films that they could use as a tax write-off when they failed. Boll gamed the system for years and made millions this way until Germany slowly cracked down and closed the loophole. After that, Boll tried to crowdfund some movies himself and then made a video to complain when all of those failed.
And basically my message is fuck yourself, because that is so fucking absurd what retarded amateur idiots collecting money on that absurd websites, and it's all fucking bullshit and I will never do it in my life again.
I could make a whole video about Uwe Boll, and like a lot of people already have, but let's talk about House of the Dead. House of the Dead was Boll's first venture into tax cheating. It's loosely based off of the Sega arcade game, which was a pretty basic but solid shooter that had players moving through a spooky mansion and blasting hordes of zombies with a light gun, or a keyboard in the educational version. As for the movie, it's a very generic horror flick with lots of naked boobs and video game physics and a theme song that goes like, bad horror horror movies are a dime a dozen. There's literally thousands of them. This movie really isn't that much worse than stuff like Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus or Friday the 13th Part 8 Jason Takes Manhattan. The main reason why this one is in the top 10 is because number one, it's based on a classic video game, and number two, people love to hate on Uwe Boll. And hey, gamers can complain all they want, but at the very least, the acting in this movie is pretty accurate to the acting in the video game, so I think Uwe Boll deserves some points for that at least.
What you doing over there?
Good evening. Beautiful day, isn't it?
I've been waiting for you, friends.
Goldman! Come to charter your boat, sir.
Oh, you do, huh? Well, that's too bad.
Do you know what you're doing?
I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. Can't you see?
Yourself.
Oh no.
Ooh, baby, the hottie and the naughty. I first watched this one for a bad movie night during quarantine in 2020 and forgot everything about it. So to refresh my memory, I rewatched it with some friends during a live stream and then immediately forgot it all again because this movie is hot garbage. I'm talking stinky garbage that's been left outside in August and set on fire type of hot. Basically what happened here is reality TV star and heir to the Hilton Hotel's empire, Paris Hilton, decided in the mid-2000s that she wanted to become an actress. After landing a few supporting roles, she said, I need more than this. So she created a production company called Paris Hilton Entertainment and produced a movie called Pledge This, which was so bad it was in the IMDB top 10 for more than a decade before Rade bumped it a few years ago. Not one to give up so easily though, Hilton assembled a genius team to make another comedy for her called The Hottie and the Naughty, and I mean, just look at the poster. Do I really need to say more? I don't. But unfortunately, I'm going to. The plot is this guy who looks like he hasn't showered in weeks falls in love with the hottest girl in Los Angeles, Christabel Abbott. Every guy wants her, but none of them can put up with Christabel's best friend, June Fig, who is apparently so disgusting that just being around her is enough to make men gag and jump out of boats. It's a nasty movie. More than half of it is basically just gross out jokes at June's expense, and the jokes get old really fast.
I don't feel so good.
The script was written by a woman, but she clearly just took a paycheck from Hilton and followed her demands to make her look good by tearing down another woman by comparison. Toward the end of the movie, it tries to redeem itself with a don't judge a book by its cover message when June gets a makeover and becomes a hottie too. I don't think I even need to explain how shallow any of this is. If you think about it for more than like 5 seconds, you can figure it out.
I don't deserve you because I didn't take the time to see who you were.
When it was released in 2008, it immediately shot to the top of the IMDb bottom 100. Some ads at the time were even bold enough to proclaim the movie as the #1 film, which is expert level marketing that definitely didn't work because it was a massive box office bomb. Anyway, I guess Paris Hilton finally took the hint after that and didn't try to make any more movies. Great job, girl boss!
Don't worry. It wasn't a smelly one. Well, I can tell by the way they sound.
So this movie I actually talked about before in my Razzies Worst Picture video, and I'm just going to repeat my script from that one because I am too lazy to write anything new, and honestly, I really don't want to watch this movie again.
I don't want to. I don't care.
So, Saving Christmas is a film created by Kirk Cameron. If you're unfamiliar, Kirk was a child actor in the 80s who took a hard right turn into evangelical Christianity and has since appeared almost exclusively in low-budget Christian movies and radio programs. Today, he's mostly known for his inflammatory publicity stunts, like in 2020 when he organized maskless Christmas caroling events in LA to protest COVID restrictions, which he called communism disguised as public health. This movie won the Razzie Award for Worst Picture of the Year and immediately became the lowest rated movie on IMDb, which Kirk claimed was the result of an atheist conspiracy on Reddit.
It's entertainment, it's fun, family Christmas entertainment. It should be a hell of a lot more of it because I'll tell you what, folks, there's a war on Christmas, but we're winning. Tim Allen's fighting for Christmas. I'm fighting for Christmas. Everybody here is working their ass off.
And I'm fighting for
Christmas,
movies.
And you
I'm
are
fighting for
spitting in
movies.
its face, and you're not showing them the respect that Christmas deserves.
I'm fighting
so
for
leave
movies.
The set.
And that's what this
Get
show's
outta
about.
here.
Basically, the whole movie takes place in one house, and almost every scene is Kirk using weird circular reasoning to explain how non-Christian Christmas traditions have actually been Christian all along. Like how Christmas trees were God's idea because God created trees, or how the holiday isn't materialistic because the ability to buy gifts is God's gift to humanity. It's just boring. It's a very boring movie where nothing happens and everyone is just sitting or standing around making bad jokes and not doing anything.
Come on, you got the chemtrails and HARP trying to control the weather with the womp, womp, womp sounds, then GMOs and pesticides. You know there's a huge honeybee shortage, right? Exactly. Colony collapse disorder. Oh, that rhymes with New World Order. Coincidence? I think not. I saw loose change. I know what's up with the whole Koch brothers, Halliburton, Dick Cheney, Enron, Fannie Mac, Freddie Mae tie-in, but I mean, that's obvious. Look, man, I saw it on Fox News, so you know it's true.
Good news for you all, though. Since making that video, I have acquired a DVD copy of the movie and a green screen, so I am going to insert myself into the epic dance number at the end of the movie the way I've always wanted to. Baby Geniuses 2 is the sequel to Baby Geniuses, a movie about how all babies are born geniuses and have a secret baby society, but then they stop being geniuses at age 3. The movie was the brainchild of writer-producer Stephen Paul, who said he came up with the idea when he saw babies talking to each other at a department store. Baby Geniuses 1 and 2 were directed by Bob Clark, a director who was at the peak of his career in the late 70s and early 80s with movies like Porky's and A Christmas Story. But after a string of flops, I guess by the late 90s he had no choice but to make talking baby movies to pay the bills. The first movie was bad enough to get a spot on the IMDB bottom 100 as well, but it was a modest success in theaters, so Sony immediately greenlit a sequel with a higher budget, which, of course, did not pay off at all. Much like Son of the Mask, Baby Geniuses 2 is a bad fever dream of ugly CGI baby animation and diaper jokes. Jon Voight plays an evil German guy who wants to mind control all the babies in the world, so an immortal baby named Kahuna drinks some glowing green juice and teams up with some super babies to turn Jon Voight into a baby.
Oh no, I hate babies.
What else? Whoopi Goldberg has a cameo. The boy band O-Town has a cameo. Stock footage of George W. Bush has a cameo. I don't know. It's a really, really, really stupid movie. One of the stupidest movies I have ever seen, and I completely understand why this is in the top 10. With Baby Geniuses 1, they at least made an attempt to appeal to adult and older kids, but Baby Geniuses 2 feels like they made it for actual babies who didn't need a real story or dialogue to follow. Just a bunch of colors and sounds and noises, like a really expensive Cocomelon. I'm also going to go out on a limb here and say that this movie could qualify as child abuse because I'm pretty sure that some of these babies were bullied for their entire childhoods for being in this movie.
Get back to work.
And I had to go out of my way to find this movie because while the first movie is easy to find online, the sequel has been digitally buried and isn't available to stream or rent on anything these days. The only way to watch it now in something higher than Nokia phone quality is to buy an out-of-print DVD, which is of course exactly what I did for this video. I'm sure you'll be happy to know though that the main baby in both Baby Geniuses 1 and 2 were played by the same set of triplets, and all three of them are now professional hockey players. And now here's one of them talking about hockey sticks.
My stick I have here, starting with the shaft, it's a grip. There's a grip texture on it that you can get.
So you're talking about the sandpaper grip on your stick. What does that do when you put tape over top of it?
I don't know.
I have known about Birdemic since it came out because it's one of those bad movies that was all the rage in the early 2010s. It's a super low-budget horror that's very obviously inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and has pretty much everything you could ever ask for in a bad movie. Terrible acting? Check. Horrible sound mixing? Check. 2 lead actors with no chemistry? Check. A scene where people fight badly animated CGI birds with coat hangers? Check. The director, James Nguyen, was a software salesman in Silicon Valley who created the movie with $10,000 of his own money and filmed it without permits in Half Moon Bay, California. He then submitted it to the Sundance Film Festival in 2009, where it was immediately rejected. Nguyen went to the festival anyway, though, and convinced a local bar to show the movie for him. Then he drove around town in a van covered in fake blood, blasting bird sounds and handing out flyers about his movie. From there, word of mouth about it spread like bird flu, and the movie went viral after YouTubers like Your Movie Sucks and JonTron made videos about it. Nguyen later rode this infamy to make Birdemic 2 in 2013, which sadly didn't catch on the same way the first first one did. Then a few years later in 2016, Nguyen launched an Indiegogo campaign to create Birdemic 3 with a goal of raising $500,000. He ended up getting an incredible $596. The movie still ended up coming out though in 2022, so be sure to give it a watch if you want to support real art. I haven't seen it myself yet, but I'm sure it's a masterpiece.
We're headed towards abrupt extinction.
You're a scientist trying to save marine life, and I'm a scientist trying to discover how to extend the human life expectancy. Very nice.
We have to do something about this damn global warming.
Yeah. Manos: The Hands of Fate is a super low-budget horror movie released in 1966 and created by a fertilizer salesman from El Paso, Texas named Harold P. Warren. In the mid-60s, Warren met Hollywood screenwriter Sterling Siliphant when he was in town working on a TV show, and they ended up making a bet that Warren could make and release a feature-length horror movie on his own despite having zero experience in filmmaking. What came out of this bet was an incomprehensible train wreck of a movie complete with bad acting, major editing errors, and some of the worst voiceover dubbing you will ever hear in your life.
But Mike, I don't want to stay here.
And the master wouldn't approve.
Don't worry about it. We're here now, and I'm sure the master won't throw us out.
The movie is about a family that gets lost and ends up at a creepy old house where they meet a guy named Torgo. Some weird occult stuff happens. Torgo tries to get with the wife. There's fires, an evil master, and sacrifices to the deity Manos, which if you don't know is the Spanish word for hands. Warren got the cast from a local theater and didn't pay them at all. The camera was very cheap and could only film for 32 seconds at a time, and all the equipment was rented for just 8 days, so they had to rush to film everything before they had to return it. Warren also had no idea how to edit a movie and forgot to put the opening credits in, so the movie opened with about 9 minutes of the characters just driving around in silence. It premiered in El Paso in 1966 and was briefly shown at some local theaters before it disappeared and was entirely forgotten. The actors never appeared in another movie, and Warren didn't really try to make any more after that.
Sure is good to get away. Damn the rain.
Vacations are fine, but this one should be great.
Yeah, the gang's coming up for the weekend. What a blast.
Like I said earlier, there's no shortage of bad, low-budget horror movies that have been released in the past 100 years, but Manos is a special case. And that's because nobody saw this movie for decades until it was featured on the show Mystery Science Theater 3000 in 1993. This episode of Mystery Science Theater ended up being one of the most popular ones they ever made, turning this once unknown low-budget horror movie into the ultimate bad movie to get drunk and make fun of with friends. And it's thanks to several generations of people doing exactly that Manos: The Hands of Fate has its place as the lowest rated horror movie on IMDb. It even got a sequel and a prequel that both came out in 2018. I'm sure Harold P. Warren would be so proud.
Amusing.
You didn't see that. None of you saw that. And we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're so good, guys. We're so good. So the lowest rated movie on IMDb is Disaster Movie.
Disaster movie.
Disaster Movie.
Disaster movie.
Disaster Movie.
Disaster movie.
Disaster Movie. The successor to Epic Movie, Disaster Movie is pretty much more of that, except like marginally worse. I think it's really telling that of the 5 movies Friedberg and Seltzer made for Regency, this one made the least money by a lot. The plot, if you can call it that, is the guy who voiced Anakin in the Clone Wars, a guy who was supposed to be Bernie Mac, a woman who was supposed to be Juno, and Kim Kardashian are all trying to outrun a bunch of disasters. And then they save the world by returning a magic orange skull to a temple. And that's basically it.
If a nice ass meant a hamburger, baby, you have a Whopper. Oh.
Dad! Like with Epic Movie, most of it is just references to movies from the mid-2000s. In its 87-minute runtime, I counted 25 different movie references, and some of those movies came out the same summer as Disaster Movie. That means there's no way Friedberg and Seltzer could have seen them when they were writing the movie, and they were just going off the title and the trailer. When it's not referencing movies, it's either actors doing bad impersonations of celebrities or crazy gross out humor, or some combination of those. Like this scene where the Sex and the City ladies show up, except Carrie Bradshaw is, yeah, and then she gets into a fist fight with Juno, and Juno, okay, and, yeah, and And of course, the movie ends with a 3-minute long musical number where all the movie references sing about fucking each other. I am ashamed to admit, though, there were parts of the movie that caught me so off guard I actually did laugh. Like these horrifying chipmunk animatronics, or Michael Jackson popping out of the Speed Racer car and saying, hee hee. I laughed, but it was like a painful laugh, you know? Like laughing after you get invasive throat surgery. I don't know, I have a lot more I could say about Disaster Movie, but this is like my 5th cup of coffee and I have to pee really bad, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here.
Who's that ringing on my bell?
The bitch who's f***ing Iron Man, that's IRON.
So that was the top 10 lowest rated movies on IMDb. Do you feel smarter for having learned about these? Because I feel dumber for having watched them all, but you gotta pay the bills somehow, am I right? What's really interesting about this top 10 to me is how reflective it is of online movie culture as a whole. 7 of the top 10 lowest rated movies on IMDb were all released around the same 10-year time frame, and that's because those are the years that IMDb was at its most popular. From the 90s through the 2000s, IMDb was the website for movie fans, so of course, most of the movies would be from that time frame. Letterboxd, on the other hand, was launched in 2011 and didn't really take off until the late 2000s, which is why most of the Letterboxd top 10 lowest rated movies looks completely different from the IMDb list. And hey, if you guys ask nicely, I can watch those for you too. I don't care. My brain is already broken from watching and researching all these bad movies. It really can't get any worse than this. I am Evasive. Thank you so much for watching. Please follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd. And if you're feeling generous, please support me on Patreon. And I'm gonna go stare at the sun. Bye, guys. Special thank you to my top tier patrons, Ajax, Alexis Angiano, Andrea Morton, Andrew Coro, Andrew C., Aurora Borealis, Bob the Pinecone, Brandon Crane, Bruno, Caleb Fortner, Carlton Barzon, Doc Davis, Dylan Zahner, Aaron 2000, Garrett Abelin, Gary V. Walters, Jane Elwood Strawberry, Joshua Grimsley, Kit, Lucas Probably, Mariana Plays Bass, Maximum, Mick LeClaire, Neurodivergers, Pigeon Rose, Pooh Bear Thought, Richard Brown, and Zoe B.